Today's episode comes with a little bit of a trigger warning. I'm going to talk about 9/11, September 11th, 2001. Somebody asked me about my experience, and I thought it'd be easier for me just to talk through it than to type everything out, because it was an eventful day, not just for me, but for the world, obviously. But just so you know. So, I lived in Brooklyn in a place called the East Williamsburg Industrial Park. Nowadays, everybody, you've heard of Williamsburg probably. It's like hipster capital, central capital, whatever. You take the L train over from, you get over there, and we're in Williamsburg. And but at the time, I lived in East Williamsburg, which was factories and stuff. The building I lived in, it was an illegal loft, which is fun. Across the street was where they put all the dump trucks for the night. That's where they slept, the dump trucks. The garbage trucks, I want to be specific. Because dump trucks, they don't smell that bad. Garbage trucks smell horrific and bring along a lot of vermin, a lot of rats. Also in my neighborhood, and maybe I'll go more into depth about this another time, but there were packs of wild dogs that would just roam the streets, and it was and people would go to this neighborhood to set cars on fire. It was a wasteland. It was a terrifying place, but it was also kind of magical. The apartment that we had, but just in an old building. It was raw, and we built our space out. And I had 2 stories that I built because the ceilings were so high, and my office was on the second, and I had a spiral slide that came down from the top to the bottom, and it was neat. But that's where I was. I was in East Williamsburg, and the morning that it happened, my roommate kind of came and grabbed me, and he's like, "Hey, come up to the roof. Something weird's happening." And so I ran up, and the first tower was already smoking and everything, and it was just like, well, this is weird. I'm gonna run back downstairs, and we turned the TV on, and I grabbed my camcorder, and I ran back upstairs, and we were all standing up there, and there's a crowd of people on the roof at that point, and we're all watching. And I'm filming, and because at the time I worked at the New York Times, and in the photos and graphics division, and I was like, and honestly I didn't think anything crazy. Like, I don't even know if I knew what happened to the first tower at that point. I just saw, there's a fire in the World Trade Center. That's great. Look at this. Look at that smoke. Wow. And didn't even really think about people being hurt and everything, because it was just like, fires happen in New York City and skyscrapers. It's certainly scary and precarious, but I think it's going to be, oh my God, the second tower just got hit, and I was filming, and so then at that point, that's when your whole body just kind of, it's a shudder. It was just a chill, like a gut feeling. My now wife, then girlfriend, worked in the city in Manhattan, on Spring Street, and that's, if you need a location, it's kind of, it's southern Manhattan, so it's not very far from all the shenanigans, all the badness, and so first thought was, how do I get in touch with her? And I start calling, and I can't get her. At the time, we had 2 very close friends living in the city very near to me, and I had a truck that I would zoom around in. His name was Gomez, Gomez, and silver truck. And so I called the friend, and I was like, "Are you seeing this? I'm coming over," and drove over, and his girlfriend also worked in Manhattan. So now it's the 2 of us, and we're trying to get in touch to find these people, these close people of ours that are in the city. and it was a real moment of like, you have to think about what's happening, you have to process what's happening, but you also have to like figure out how to get your people safe, the people you love safe. And I don't really, and cell phones were basically non-existent. Like it was, the system was down, the traffic was everywhere. There's cars gridlocked. There's people just in the streets, and eventually we found his girlfriend, and I don't remember how that happened, but we found her, and we got her in the car. And then we went to the Manhattan Bridge. I think it was the Manhattan and not the Brooklyn. I think it was the Manhattan Bridge. But there were just droves of people coming across the bridge. And, I kept trying to text and call and everything. And I had a Nokia. Wait, did I have a Razor? These crazy old phones. Now I think it was this Nokia, and it was like a candy bar, and it was this little plastic phone, and it was bright yellow, and I think the back had fallen off, and it was great because it just kept going, it kept doing it, but it was a little bit of a wreck, that phone. But I think I finally managed to text her, have friends in truck, base of bridge, we'll wait, we'll find you, whatever. But it was a tense few hours, and so we finally found her, and then we're all in the truck, and we were all starving because it was later in the day at that point, and I feel like we ate at McDonald's, and it was a weird thing because that's not really someplace we ate, but it felt very, for lack of a better term, jingoistic. Like it made us feel like America, like, oh, what's happening? We'll eat at McDonald's. That'll make things. It didn't make it better, but and then you're glued to the television, really, and trying to take it all in contacting relatives who aren't in the city and who know you are in the city. That was another mad rush of people calling or texting. Are you okay? Is everything okay? No, it's not. As I said, I worked at the New York Times, and I couldn't get into the city that day because they closed off all the bridges and everything, the trains and everything shut down. But when I finally I think it was the next day that I was able to get into the city, and I was talking to somebody about this recently, that I worked something like 35 straight days, like every single day. And these were long shifts too, because it just the amount of information, the amount of images, and just everything that were coming through our pipeline to get out to other papers across the world was massive. And I feel like the way I got into the city, if my brain is right, is I rode my bike up over the Queens. Was it 51st Street Bridge, 54th Street, 57th Street? There's a bridge up there that I went across. Yeah, it's the 59th Street Bridge, the Queensboro Bridge. Kind of near Long Island City, kind of over, I don't know. That's what it is. So I was able to ride across on my bike and get to the Times building and basically to stay there. And my experience is slightly different from a lot of people. Everyone's experience is different, obviously, but being in that building and being so tied to the news and all the images that are coming in, and many images that couldn't be published or couldn't be sent out for print or anything, was intense, and it really kind of messed my brain up because I'm seeing things that are truly horrific, and also doing it every single day, it meant you didn't have a second to really kind of take a breath or bounce back or anything like that. And it was just constantly being exposed to these things. Speaking of exposed, and this is a really terrible thing, in the city, and this was for a while, it was basically smoke, but it felt like, just smog or whatever, but it was just this pervasive, ever-present, just white-ish, cloudy, I don't know, that was there for a while. But much worse than that even was the smell, the burning, the electrical burning, just the building burning metal and glass and whatever, and that hung in the air for a long time. And it's weird, I think it was like a week or two ago, there was a fire, and it was probably like 10 miles from my house, 8-10 miles, but it was an industrial fire, and I was walking to get the kid at school or something like that, and I got hit by this smell. And they always say that smell is one of the most powerful triggers of memory or whatever, but man, that smell hit me, and I was right back. And that it was I don't know, I don't know how you do, but the way I like to experience things, and then sometimes I'll take a step back and I'll look at how I'm experiencing things, and I'll try to figure out how I'm experiencing them and why I'm experiencing them in that way, and maybe why my brain is thinking of X, Y, and Z, and why Banjo loves to bark every time I'm doing a podcast. Like, these are just things that I think of, and that's okay. But yeah, it was 20 years ago, and it still weighs heavily on my heart and on my mind. And every so often, if I am thinking about something or whatever, like, I can definitely still get get upset by the whole thing. As I should. It was a terrible day. It was a day that I think a lot of stuff changed in the world, and not for the better, certainly. But that's for another day. Speaking of another day, really quick, I want to address the last podcast. I had a song, and some people they were worried about me. They were like, "Are you okay? It sounds very sad. It sounds very ominous," and it was not my intention. I was kind of trying to. I don't know if you've ever seen the Willy Wonka movie, the first one, the original one, but there's a scene where Wonka's on a boat kind of thing in the chocolate river with all the kids, and he's singing this song, and it also is pretty ominous also, if I'm to be honest. But that was kind of like, I was trying to capture that in a way, and I made the song up on the spot, so there was no intentionality behind it. There was no like, I'm gonna sit down and write out this sad, scare, whatever. So I apologize if I made anyone upset or worried. And now we're doing this episode. Maybe next episode, let's get back to the fun. What do you think of that? I think that would be amazing. I would love that. It's October. It's Rocktober. Let's kick out the jams. Let's raise the roof. I mean, is this the Bumper Podcast or is this the Bumper Podcast? It is the Bumper Podcast. And you guys are my Bumper Podcasteers. And I want you all to take a minute today, take a deep breath, look at the sky, right? Or look at the mirror, look at yourself, and just give yourself a hug. Because the world is a lot. And you need to take care of yourself. That's important. You're important, and you need to take care of yourself, okay? And if you ever get, a little too, if things are too benign, then send me an email, and I'll try. I like helping people. That's what I do, and you guys help me every day by listening to this, and I appreciate it. And now, I'm gonna go drink some tea, because that's what I do. That's what I do.
The Bumper Podcast is an oftentimes hilarious weekly romp with Natty Bumpercar and some of his pals. It is family-friendly, clean, and ridiculous. Thanks a bundle for listening. If you love our show and you'd like to help support the podcast, check out our Patreon page at https://www.patreon.com/Natty Bumpercar. Also, pretty please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Share it with everyone everywhere, post about it on all of the social medias, or leave a rating and review. The Bumper Podcast is produced at headquarters in Coffee Can Alley. It's recorded, mixed, and produced by producer. The Bumper Podcast features contributions from Aloysius J. Pig, Rufus T. Rufus, Doodle Poodle, Robot, Trunks, and a gaggle of other silly rascals. Our head talker is probably Natty Bumpercar. We also have an absurd newsletter. Check it out and subscribe at nattybumpercar.com/subscribe. Also, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Natty Bumpercar. Hugs and hearts. See you soon.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit Non-Productive.com.